Hi, this is Linda West. I'm here today with Justin Recla. I'm cracking up because I'm not ready and I hit the button anyway. So you know what? Let's just go for it, Justin. I'm ready now. Okay.
All right.
Let's do it.
Let's dive in.
So today we're going to talk about our favorite topic, which is cryptocurrency. And today we're going to talk about the big picture, like all about crypto. What is the big picture of it? Because there's a lot of information out there and we're going to just like clear it up. Maybe not all of it, but we're going to clear it up today. Before we get started, I want to share with you guys that I'm speaking at an event called Massive Success Breakthrough. It's February 9th through 11th in San Diego. And I'm excited to be speaking there. This will be my first time on a big stage. So if you're interested in attending, go to stijolaticket.com. You can see that down below there. And then if you are somebody who's interested or know somebody who's interested in learning more about cryptocurrency, if you've been hiding under a rock and don't even know what the word cryptocurrency is, then this is definitely something for you to learn about. Justin and I are here to Justin is here to educate, and I'm here to ask him questions so that we can make sure like all the questions get answered. But it's just to educate about cryptocurrency because this is the future. And we're like, it's kind of like he likes to say the wild, wild west right now. Well, they were trying to get things figured out, right? So that's what we're doing with this crypto convo, is to help bring out the information about cryptocurrency and educate you on it. And then lastly, before we get going, you can find Justin Recla at cryptocurrencyduediligence.com. And I want to just share his bio with you real quick. And this is the part I wasn't ready on. So I'm going to go find it really quick. Here we go. I had it printed. I don't know where I put it. Okay. So who is Justin Recla? Well, first, I met him at an event called CEO Space in Las Vegas. And I heard him and his wife, they were talking about due diligence, and just their knowledge is amazing. I'm going to go on with his bio right now. So Justin has over 13 years of experience and advanced training with the U.S. Army and federal government. He's a subject matter expert in tactical questioning, surveillance, counter-espionage, threat and vulnerability assessments, and investigative techniques. He's an educator in concepts of effective communication and has taught hundreds of future federal agents how to conduct interviews and investigations. He's a leader in cryptocurrency due diligence and education and is the co-founder of CryptoBit Verified, the very first cryptocurrency vetting provider. Justin brings his skills from the military sector and delivers them to the boardroom to help business owners protect their two most valuable assets, which are time and money. Welcome, Justin. I'm so glad to have you here on episode 4 of Crypto Convo.
Thanks for having me back. I think today's show is timely given the some of what the cryptocurrency markets are currently doing right now.
And what are they doing? Let's hear it.
Right? They're taking it. People are freaking out. And, I'm so glad we're talking about the big picture here. It's on days like today when the entire cryptocurrency market, takes a dip that people start freaking out. And then there's people that make claims that just aren't true based off of one or two things that happen. And there's a lot of speculation, a lot of courthouse lawyers. A lot of jailhouse lawyers that have their opinion. And the bottom line is cryptocurrency is volatile. It fluctuates, right? And you get a lot of people that make a lot of emotional decisions and freak out when it's fluctuating. And I always tell people, you hear that, you see the hashtag, hashtag HODL, HODL, right?
No, I haven't seen that. What's that?
It's all about the cryptocurrency belief of you got to hold them.
Oh,
you got to hold. Hold is because cryptocurrency is a long play. It is, yes, there could be lots of gains being made in the short-term process of it, but to the inexperienced person in the cryptocurrency market, when there's any sort of fluctuation, especially on the downside, people freak out.
Well, you know what? Yeah, so we'll get to the JP Morgan thing in a second, but I heard this phrase the other day and I was like, whoa, this is so cool because it totally relates to cryptocurrency. And I wish I could remember who said it, because if you can't stand to take a 30 or 40% loss, you don't deserve a 500% gain.
Absolutely.
right?
Absolutely.
This is risky. This is risky.
Well, and here's the thing it is a long play. It's if you're going to be in the cryptocurrency market, you have to understand that it's volatile.
Let me ask you, what is considered long? Because I know in some different types of markets, long can be like in the job market. Long nowadays is like over a year. You know, it used to be long was 20 years. Now it's a year. So what is long considered long in the cryptocurrency? A week?
Well, no, it really depends. It cycles. By all means, there's different strategies having to play, but long term, what I really mean by long term is it's not going anywhere. It's not disappearing. Right? And the biggest fear that people freak out on whenever there's a dip is like, oh my God, it's ending. And then they start selling. And there's a ton of people that are losing a ton of cash right now because they are fear selling their cryptocurrency as to where if they were to just hold it, they wouldn't take any losses because guess what it's going to do? It's not a matter of exactly. It's not a matter of if, it's a matter of when it goes back up because that's just the nature. Just like the stock market. The stock market goes up and down. Cryptocurrency might be a little bit more volatile, a little bit more susceptible to when the CEO of JP Morgan opens his mouth and makes a very ignorant statement. Knowing that it has an impact on the market. Guess what JP Morgan Chase is probably doing right now?
What did they say, first of all? I'll see if I can find that while you're mentioning.
Basically, well, about 5 weeks ago, where it was, the CEO of JP Morgan Chase made the claim that, Bitcoin was a fraud. And then, a week and a half ago, he came out and said, I wish I would have never called Bitcoin a fraud. Well, I think it was yesterday or the day before, he came out and said that, the governments are going to shut down cryptocurrency. And that's one of the reasons we're seeing a reaction to it today. There's some other things that are going on in the world globally as well. But it's that kind of manipulation that guess what JP Morgan Chase is doing? Knowing that the CEO has that kind of influence over the entire financial world, what do you think Bitcoin, what JP Morgan Chase is doing right now? They're probably buying up Bitcoin. They're buying up a ton of Bitcoin right now, right?
Exactly.
And so and it's that kind of thing that, if you're going to get involved in the cryptocurrency world, that you have to pay attention to because it goes to a larger picture of what's really going on in the world. And the banks are afraid of it.
And, that's a very interesting point there, because if you're a person who has a lot of pull, knowledge, expertise, that people are going to listen to you. They naturally are just going to listen to what you say. So when you spout out the mouth of something that you don't even have the full knowledge about, you can control, like what he just did without even knowing.
Yeah. Well,
and then, like you said, then they just maybe they bought short.
Yeah.
And then they're going to just, who knows?
Yeah. And that's the thing is that you don't know. The bigger issue is paying attention to just what cryptocurrency does as a whole. And it fluctuates. It is volatile. It goes up. It goes down. It is been trying to find a new Bitcoin itself has been trying to find a new support level. Some predict it's going to be around 11,000. Some people predict it's going to be around 9, which is fine. It's still active. It's still there. But from 9,000 or 11,000, whatever the new base is going to be, it can only go up from there.
Can you explain that what you just said? Because you said, what did you call it? A what level? A something level.
Base. So basically, it's looking for support. So every time Bitcoin has gone up, it's always come back down to a new level. Meaning that this is the new level is kind of like the lowest that it is accepted on. Where the market says, okay, yes, this is what the low point's going to be from here moving forward. Essentially, can it go lower? By all means, but essentially, when it finds a new home, a new support base, basically that means that the market has come to an agreed upon statement of saying, this level where it's at right now is where we're comfortable with it in the marketplace, and so it becomes a new base point. And from there, and so we saw that when it hit 1,000, we saw it when it hit 3,000, we saw that when it hit 5,000, we saw that when it hit 9,000. It's been trying to find its new home ever since it skyrocketed up to 19,000. Some thought it was going to stick around 15, but it's now back down to 11. So once it finds that new base, it's going to go back up. It's just a matter of when. Some other things going on in the world that are affecting it. The Asian markets right now are kind of slowed down. We're getting ready to go into the Chinese New Year. That's a big holiday season for the Asian markets, to where they're going into the Chinese New Year. The Asian markets have a huge impact on the buying and selling of Bitcoin, and the market that comes from the market effect that comes from their trading. Has a huge impact. Well, guess what? They're getting ready to go on holiday, which means they're not necessarily spending their money on cryptocurrency. They're buying gifts and that kind of stuff for their family. So, there's all sorts of things that have to take in consideration. Now, bigger picture, governments. Let's go back to JP Morgan, the CEO of JP Morgan's statements. Okay. Was it unfounded? Absolutely not. Was it definitely based in fear? Absolutely. Because South Korea and Indonesia have both just came out. Both of those governments, both of them are democratic republics, have said that they're going to make cryptocurrency illegal for their citizens. But guess what? It still exists on the internet, right? And cryptocurrencies. And just because South Korea can't get to it doesn't mean that their citizens won't, because it is on the internet. Okay, but then you got countries like Russia. With Putin coming out and saying, yeah, it's a good form of exchange. We're going to let our people do it, and we're going to set up exchanges for them to do it.
Well, they can make money off that way. They can. That's it.
But then you've also got states here in the states where you've got the United States. Arizona just announced that they're looking at passing a bill for Arizona residents to be able to pass their to pay their taxes in Bitcoin. So. Here's the thing. In a snapshot, you ready for it?
Yeah.
Bitcoin is challenging the way we do things. It is disrupting the entire financial sector from a higher vibration spiritual perspective, which is where I spend a lot of my time, is when you look at Bitcoin, what it is truly, truly doing is it's giving us as individuals the opportunity to take full self-dominion over our own financial well-being. And that scares the hell out of the establishment.
It is an interesting thought, but if they just adapt to it, they can make a lot of money from it too. It's kind of crazy.
They could, but unfortunately, they're going to fight it as long as they can until they realize that they can't. Which is why it's so important that people start educating themselves on what it is, what it's not, understanding that what the freedom that it creates is, the ability to be your own bank is huge, to where you're not dependent on an institution to tell you what you can and cannot do with your money, and the fact that you can now independently, in and of yourself, take full control over your financial well-being, and you're not dependent on an institution. And that's going to come up with some resistance. And it's coming up against some resistance right now. And it's staying positive and educating people to include those in power, the ones that make the decisions and the laws, to show them how they can leverage it and make it more widely accepted, more widely used, and how they can benefit from it as well, because ultimately we've all got to bring it back together anyways.
Well, I think you mentioned in one of our other episodes about how we'll know that it's really kind of like made that switch is when people actually start speaking in Bitcoin or speaking in those terms where they don't have to say, oh, this equals this many dollars. Like when they just like, the language,
the language piece of it's going to be huge. We're going to have to baby step that right now. There's a lot of people, you say Bitcoin. I mean, I was in Florida a couple of weeks ago, and we got into an Uber to go somewhere, and the woman asked, she goes, "So what do you do?" I said, "Oh, I'm in Bitcoin." She's like, "What's Bitcoin?" I mean, there's literally a lot of people out there that still have no clue as to what it is, and so the education piece is extremely important, which is one of the reasons why we run the Facebook group, is to help people understand what it is so they can get started if they want to play in it. Because I'm a firm believer of the fact that here's the thing. You either learn cryptocurrency now or you'll learn it later because it's not going anywhere.
That's true, because even though there's a smaller percentage of people who actually know now, that doesn't mean that it's not going to grow, because it's definitely, it's a hot topic right now.
Absolutely.
It's so hot because not so many people know about it, I think. And it's extremely volatile. Do you think it will ever, let's say 20 years from now, do you think it will somewhat stabilize, or do you think it will always be volatile? What's your thought on that?
I think until a solution comes along, and I'm smiling because just because some of the things that I'm involved with.
You can't tell us, or you'd have to kill us.
In the Bitcoin world, there's solutions at work to bring some stability to the cryptocurrency world. The sooner that happens, the more widely accepted that it's going to become, because the problem with it is it is so volatile that the early adapters, those who understand the technology piece, those who are willing to take the risk and so forth, are the ones that are going to have the huge gains. For mom and pop, 60-something, 70-something years old, they're not going to get involved with it because they just don't understand it, and it's too volatile. And once the solution comes along that will help bring stability to the cryptocurrency world, that's going to change things. That's going to change the way we do regular finances. It's going to change the way cryptocurrency gets done. And once that solution is in place, watch what happens to the cryptocurrency world, because now there's market control, there's stability. And yes, by all means, it will still fluctuate, but it won't be these $5,000, $6,000, $8,000 difference days that we've seen over the last year or so.
Well, first of all, hi, Pamela. Good to see you. Say hi, Pamela.
Hi, Pam.
Okay, so just since we've been on here, I'm going to quickly show my screen here. And I don't know if you're able to see my screen, but I'm going to show GDAX.
Yeah.
And so why don't you explain to us, first of all, I'm going to just show you the screen. But so Justin, explain to us what GDAX is. But since we've been on this show for 15 minutes, it was a little bit under, it was up at about 10,200, I think. And it's already gone up 1,000 since we've been US dollars.
Absolutely. What do you show the price at right now?
11,198.
Okay, perfect. So now you see the little red candlesticks?
They look orangish.
Yeah, oranges. Yeah. Okay. Those are people selling, and that's really. And if you look, it appears that you got a lot. The red column is really fluctuating because you got people freaking out right now that are selling off, and there's lots of red candlesticks. The green candlesticks are people buying, right? The buying is not going as fast as the red right now, because one, people are freaking out and selling, and the buyers are not buying as fast because they're wanting to see how low it's going to go. So, what you're seeing here is just a typical day of fluctuation. I mean, today seems to be a little bit more
a lot of trading.
A lot more trading going on today. I would imagine at some point in time today, GDAX or Coinbase may actually end up shutting down, if I were to make a prediction, just because of the volume that they're seeing right now.
Oh, okay. But I'm going to stop you right there. Okay, yeah. So if there's a really, really high volume, it's just, let me ask, is it just because the computers have a hard time keeping up? Is that why they may shut down?
That's typically why they shut it down. Is their back end just can't handle the volume. That's why they've shut down before in the past. But you can see it here. Is one, you got a lot of people that are selling off at 11,100. If I were to make a prediction, I would have guessed that those people probably bought in at around 15. Unless they bought in at 3,000, 4,000, 5,000, 9,000 even, they're losing money. So there's a lot of people right now that are selling. Scared. And in the cryptocurrency world, Bitcoin especially, altcoins are a little bit different, but Bitcoin especially, selling Bitcoin when it's falling is super, super silly.
Well, let's talk about that, if you don't mind, because you say this super silly, because I know that one of our other episodes, we talked about what your sort of prediction is for Bitcoin. And I attended an event this last weekend where they had 3 other cryptocurrency experts on, and their numbers were pretty close to what you had predicted by the end of this December, 2018. And so it was interesting to see, like, I think there was somebody was up to 100,000. There was somebody as low as 30,000. And I think yours was like right around 80 or so.
I predicted it'll probably be around 100 grand by the end of the year. The start of the year is typically slow, but here's the thing: it's pure. That's pure speculation,
right?
And I think there's going to be a lot of changes coming online that more people are going to accept Bitcoin. There's some big names that are getting involved in the cryptocurrency world. And that in itself is going to have a huge, huge impact on cryptocurrency in general. And when people start to realize that Bitcoin is really the gold standard, the staple of cryptocurrency, and realizing that Bitcoin in itself is literally just scratching the surface as to what cryptocurrency is, that's huge. And when you start educating yourself on all the different types of coins, how they work, what they are, and the different platforms that exist, and then you convert those coins when you sell them back into Bitcoin, knowing that Bitcoin is going to continuously go up, now you really start leveraging the cryptocurrency world to make money.
Yeah, so it's so interesting. So why don't you share with us, because we are talking about the big picture today. So now that we see some big names, first of all, can you mention any of the names, or is this all stuff that is not public yet?
There's some stuff out there. So like, Kodak is looking at getting involved with the mining side of the house. So they're going to be doing their own mining equipment.
Kodak camera?
Yeah, Kodak. They're looking at getting into the tech side of the house.
I didn't even know Kodak was still around.
Yeah, MoneyGram. MoneyGram is looking at doing stuff with Ripple. Now, I don't want to get into Ripple. That's a lot. We could do a whole nother show on Ripple alone.
Okay.
So just know that there's some other Fidelity, some of the ones that made some announcements at the end of last year. But you've got Mark Zuckerberg, Facebook, talking about using cryptocurrency as a means of exchange on Facebook. Most of us are waiting for Amazon to pull the trigger on either Litecoin, Ethereum, or Bitcoin, even as a means of purchasing stuff on their site. And they've already bought up the URLs. Whether or not I don't think it's a matter of if they do it. I think it's a matter of when they do it. And I think it's going to be that in itself, when those kinds of things happen, that's going to be a huge game changer for the entire crypto world. So I kind of, when you show your screen and you show me GDAX and I see all the people selling, part of me cringes because I feel bad for those people. I really like, why are you selling? Now is not the time to sell. You want to wait till it goes back up before you sell. You should never sell on a downswing. You should always sell on the upswing. It's the basic principle of buy low, sell high. But when people freak out, they sell when it bottoms out.
Yeah, it's just natural, like human nature, of course, and that's what happened to the stock market. That's why we have those crashes and stuff. Absolutely. So let's talk as far as the big picture goes. When you get these humongous corporations, like what you said, it's going to make a big impact, in the crypto world. But what kind of impact? What does that mean to the regular, everyday person who isn't in cryptocurrency, doesn't understand it yet? What does that mean for them?
Well, honestly, if they're not involved in cryptocurrency, it's not going to have a huge effect on them. And and if they choose to get involved in cryptocurrency, they'll see that they'll have a little bit more freedom of how they spend their money, where they spend their money, and so forth. Again, Bitcoin, as far as a platform of purchasing goes, it's not the best. There's better options out there. Because Bitcoin itself is fairly slow, but it's like the gold standard of cryptocurrency. There's other coins out there. There's other cryptocurrencies out there that you can send that are a lot faster. Ethereum's a lot faster to send than Bitcoin, and that speed is essential. But it's knowing how to spend and buy and purchase and sell your cryptocurrency, that where it really comes into play. So for those that aren't in it, when new companies come on board and announce what Bitcoin is, I think there's going to be some learning folks are going to want to get involved with, because it's like, hey, what's this Bitcoin thing? What's this cryptocurrency thing? And to some extent, those companies that are choosing to accept Bitcoin are just playing their role in helping the cryptocurrency movement, because the more people that come online with it, the faster it gets accepted, the easier it will become to transact with.
Right. Oh my gosh. It's such an interesting concept, the whole thing. Can we talk briefly about, well, first of all, we wanted to talk about your services and what you can do to help people with this. But before we get to that, let's talk about one of the ICOs. I know we can't mention the name right now, but so if anybody's interested in learning about this ICO that we're going to talk about in a minute, you can message me, or I'll put a link to it, for you. But let's talk about the ICOs. Like, what is an ICO? How can a person tell if it's really one they should, because I know you're going to say do your due diligence, because that's the thing, right? But what's the best way for a normal person, not you, to do due diligence? I know like Google searches and all this stuff, but like, give me the meat of it, give it to me.
Absolutely. So the ICO world is not for the faint of heart. I'll just put that out there. And I would definitely not recommend it to the beginner person in the cryptocurrency world, because there's a lot to understand when it comes to ICOs. ICO is an interactive coin offering. It's essentially a company, a business, an organization that is putting out a new coin, a new token that has some sort of utility. And that utility could be for lending, it could be for transacting, it can be for all sorts of different things. And purchasing into an ICO is essentially it's like investing in another company. Is that token, that coin may or may not take off. It may or may not do what it's may or may not go anywhere. So looking at the people that are involved in the project, looking at the history, looking at the business success, looking at what they're doing and how they're doing it. But more importantly, understanding what the coin does and what it's going to be used for, because there's a lot of coins out there that are doing the same exact thing, and they don't necessarily have the team or the business prowess or the know-how to really get it successful. Matter of fact, I was just taking a look at an ICO earlier today. When it first launched, it was started off at 85 cents, sold all the way up to $2.50. And guess what it's at today? It's at 30 cents right now.
Oh, wow.
Now, does that mean that it's going to go away? No, but does that mean it's got an uphill battle? You bet it's got an uphill battle. And I was looking, more importantly, I was looking at the volume of the coin, and it was only doing like $67,000 in a 24-hour period, where there's some coins that are out there that are doing like $9 million in a 24-hour period.
Oh, wow.
So those are some things to take into consideration. Other things that you have to look at is, what's the coin supply? How many coin total are there? Are they going to be mining the coin? Or are they all pre-mined like Ripple? So those are some things to take into consideration when you're looking at the ICO world. But first and foremost, make sure you talk to your financial advisor. One, I am not a financial advisor.
Neither am I.
Okay. Talk to your financial advisor, but make sure you understand what an ICO is. It's a great opportunity if you know. ICOs are great opportunities if you know what you're doing. It's a great way to 3x, 5x, even 10x your money. But it's also one of the highest risk things you can do within the cryptocurrency world, because it's literally, you're saying, I believe in this, go forward, and whether or not they actually do anything with it or not, it happens. And there's roughly, I think there's currently 1,700 new ICOs around the globe right now, and
wow.
There's like 10 to 15 a week that get added. So it is literally like the wild, wild west out there.
That is so crazy. That's one thing I like about working with you, is because you do the due diligence. I know I'm supposed to still do it, but I just trust. So, and that's what the hand holding is, right? So let's talk about your services and like what you have to offer to help people,
Absolutely.
to help them make it through this world. Because we're educating here, but it goes beyond that. Like, what if somebody's like, well, I don't understand what you guys are talking about. I don't get it. And so just talk about what you do and what you have to offer for people.
Absolutely. So we do a bit of everything. First and foremost, you go to Facebook and click on join our group. It's free to join. Cryptocurrency Due Diligence. You can search for it. You'll see the CryptoBit verified logo. You can join the Due Diligence group and come learn, study, dive into the group, read through all the old posts, read through some of the stuff, search for Bitcoin or Blockchain 101. And just read, dive, and start educating. But we have our team put together that has Bitcoin accounting. So if you need to, you need to keep a track of your Bitcoin accounting, we have a Bitcoin accountant. We have a Bitcoin coach who does a lot of hand holding for people that are the one-on-one type of clients that are looking to just, hey, what's Bitcoin? How do I get started in it? And so forth. We offer services on helping people get started in mining. We have some higher risk stuff that we help people with. I myself work with clients who are a little bit more knowledgeable in the Bitcoin world. They understand some of the basics, but they want to know what some of the next steps are, how to play in the ICO world, how to play with some of the higher risk stuff that we're using for ourselves to help leverage and make money in the Bitcoin world. So from whether or not you're a beginner, a self-paced learner, want a little bit of hand holding, or want to dive down the rabbit hole completely, we help people with all of that, making sure that you have the information that you need to navigate the cryptocurrency world at whatever level you're at.
And that actually brought a question to mind, and that is because you mentioned about the crypto accounting. I heard something about 1099s with cryptocurrency, and so can you explain maybe just briefly on that, and then we'll finish up the show. But just talking about taxes when it comes to cryptocurrency.
Absolutely. So one of the big confusions right now in the U.S. side of the house is first off, ICOs in the United States be very depends on what state you're in, and depends on the type of ICO. Some ICOs are allowed, some are not. Depends on where you're at. Just make sure you do your due diligence, because not all ICOs are available to all U.S. citizens. So that's just something to be cautious of. Second, if you buy, purchase, or sell Bitcoin on an exchange that does KYC, know your client due diligence, where they collect your information, your social security number, and that kind of stuff, recognize that they're going to be reporting your trades to the IRS. And Coinbase especially was the big one. They fought the IRS on it for about 4 years. Finally ended up settling, saying, okay, we'll report income we'll report information on all transactions over $20,000. Not individual transactions, accumulative transactions. So if you've done over $20,000 worth of exchanges and made more than $20,000 in profit in Coinbase, or transacted over 20 grand, Coinbase total. Oh yeah, anything over 20 grand will be reported to the IRS, and so that's going to be trackable income. What's that mean? It means that you need to account for it. Most people aren't going to, because they don't know what it is or how it is, and that could actually land them in trouble. We actually have a Bitcoin accountant that helps you with that. We have some self-paced programs that you can use on your own. If you want somebody to do it for you, our guy does it for you as well. And it's just being educated about what it is, how to do it, because the IRS looks at it as property. So make sure you are doing your Bitcoin accounting, especially if you are trading on an exchange that reports to the IRS.
So I'm going to assume that you guys take payment by Bitcoin.
I do.
Okay, so the last question then, related to the same thing, is it only when you buy or sell?
So it's literally with the new tax law that just came down. It's whenever you buy Bitcoin, okay, you sell Bitcoin for a gain or a loss. Okay, there's short-term gains, long-term gains, but it's also if you sell one Bitcoin and use Bitcoin to purchase another coin, that's now considered a traceable trade as well. So again, I'm not the 100% expert on it.
Right.
My Bitcoin accountant, that's why I rely on him for. Those kinds of questions, if you join our group, it's a great place to pose them.
And I put a link to the group. It's Cryptocurrency Due Diligence on Facebook. I put a link to that in the comments below. So you guys, click on that, join the group. There's a lot of great information in there. It can be overwhelming. I will share with you that it can be overwhelming, but don't feel like you need to read everything, because Justin and his team are just making sure we have all the information. That doesn't mean you have to read everything. So don't let yourself get into overwhelm, because I did at the beginning. I was like, I'm missing out on so much.
Yeah, don't go into overwhelm, but definitely start educating yourself, because again, that goes back to the self-dominion piece and really knowing what your risk aversion levels are, and taking some ownership as to what you're doing and how you're doing it in the cryptocurrency space, because ultimately at the end of the day, what you put into the middle is what you could potentially lose. And if you don't know what's going on, how it works, what it's doing, and so forth, then it's just going to become frustrating. And ultimately, that's where a lot of people get involved in fear, is because they just throw some money into Bitcoin. They freak out because they don't know what they're doing. They got in on the hype and like, oh my God, it's crashing. And now they sell, and they shouldn't probably never gotten involved in the first place. And so do your due diligence, learn what cryptocurrency is, understand how it works. And if you want to come play with us at the beginner level, if you want to do it on a do-it-yourself level, come join us in the group. Come join us in the group. Even if you want to do it at the beginner level or the advanced stages, either way, we'd love to have you a part of the group.
Exactly. And again, if you want to learn more about that ICO we were talking about, we kind of touched on it a little bit. You reach out to me. I'd be happy to share with you, because it's very exciting times. It's like we're at the beginning, and it can be volatile, but it can also be a fun ride, right?
Yep, exactly. Okay,
lastly, before we go, I want to just share with you guys. So we were on here for a half hour, and the Bitcoin is now at exactly 11,000. So it's gone up about $800 in the last half hour. So it's just very interesting, right? It's a lot of buy, sell. Right now, it looks like they're kind of half and half, buy and sell. Yep. So, just got to watch this. This is a really amazing. And if this goes as is predicted by many of the cryptocurrency experts, it can go upwards of close to 100,000 by the end of this year.
Yep, so it's going to be a lot of fun.
No guarantees, of course, but that's what can definitely happen. So you guys just get yourself educated about it. If you have any questions, reach out to me, reach out to Justin, and please join the Cryptocurrency Due Diligence group on Facebook. And we will, I should show us. Hold on. Okay, just before we go. Here we are. Okay, me and Justin. Okay, you guys have a great, great day, and we shall see you next Tuesday where we talk about cryptocurrency.
Take care.
Bye-bye.